This is the Plain English Real Estate Show with your host, Rowena Patton, a show that focuses on the real estate market in terms you can easily understand. Call Rowena now. The number is 240-9962 or 1-800-570-9962. Now here's the English girl in the mountains, the agent that I would trust, Rowena Patton.
Good morning. This is Rowena Patton. How are you all doing this morning on this wonderful Memorial Day weekend? So happy to be here. And really, Randy, let's talk for a minute. What is Memorial Day? Because this is not Veterans Day. This is remembering those that have fallen. And I kind of like to tie it in and remember all those who have served as well. But Memorial Day is really about remembering the fallen. And it's, people are like, you're English. What do you do miss it? Well, you know what? I am a citizen. And wherever you fell, anywhere in the world that you fell, let's use our little time to remember you today. But particularly, of course, all of those Americans that fell during their service. Thank you also to all of you who served. Of course, my family members served, which is probably why I work with so many veterans, and I'm so keen on Memorial Day. And also, of course, we are endorsed by Tunnel to Towers, T2T.org, a most amazing organization that pays off mortgages for fallen police, for fallen firefighters, for veterans that, need a home that is modest, and needs T2T.org. They sponsor us through the T2T CPO program, where we do full market value cash offers for veterans and everybody else for that matter. So really pretty cool organization, don't you think, Randy?
Amen. And coming up on at 10 o'clock just underway, a Memorial Day ceremony in Brevard, right there on Main Street during the White Squirrel Festival that's going on this weekend in Brevard. And their Memorial Day ceremonies, 10 o'clock Monday morning. And then at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hendersonville at 11 o'clock Monday morning, Memorial Day services. So, and ceremonies and the laying of the wreath as we honor those who gave the ultimate sacrifice this weekend.
Wow. And I'm guessing that's going on, in many cities, of course. around the country.
It's just a couple I know about, right?
Yeah, absolutely, that are local. And today we've got a pretty exciting show going on. It might be a bit depressing for some. I don't know. It depends if you're selling or buying a home. We are looking around the country where are prices crashing? And where, if prices are crashing and you're an investor or you're a buyer, you are very happy right now. And where are I'm not one of those agents that are like, the sky is falling. Because in some places, the prices are going up. Pretty amazing, hey. You can go to Rowena Patton on Facebook. I just actually posted a picture showing a heat map on there. So if you're looking at your state, and by the way, we're not doing this by state because we all know that doesn't mean anything. Obviously, if you're in one part of North Carolina, you might have prices going down. If you're in another part, they might be going up. Obviously, if you're in one part of Florida is especially one to watch. Texas is especially one to watch, by the way, as is California as well. You can see on the map, just go to Rowena Patton on Facebook. You will find it right there. Of course, I can share it with you. I am going to make a video on these state by state, but honestly, what's most important to you is your zip code. What I want you to do today, call in at 800-570-9962, 800-570-9962. Give me your zip code and I will go in depth. If you want to give me your zip or your town or your county or your state, I can do that too. Maybe you've got a house in another area, or maybe you're calling in for a friend. Very happy to do that as well. You can just pretend you don't live there if you want. Of course, if you're a buyer, you want to know this. Now, here's the thing. There are all kinds of caveats on this, because if you're a buyer going into a zip code where the prices are likely to decrease. It's all likely, right? We don't know what's going to happen in a year. However, looking at all the historical data, and I have some incredible tools now where I can do this, looking at the historical data, what is most likely to happen? So what is it that we're looking at here in the home price forecast scores, whether they're going up or they're going down? We are looking at inventory. How much inventory is there? But not just the inventory now. How has that changed in the last few years? And we pull a figure based on that. Not only that, price reductions. So where are the homes listed right now that are seeing price reductions that are increased dramatically from a year ago, from 5 years ago? We look at the history and say, what normally happens in this zip code, in this city, in this state? So it's very, very, very clever. It's absolutely blown my mind. I paid a lot of money for this, so you're all getting the benefit of it now. It's a little harder on the radio, I understand, because you can't see the pictures, but you can see the big picture of the states. Just go to Rowena Patton on Facebook. I think there's 3 of me in the whole wide world on Facebook, so you can find them there. So, that at least shows you the state, but we can do a deep dive on any of these. Again, give us a call with your zip code, 828-240-9962 if you're calling in locally, or if you're calling in from Mars or anywhere at all, 800-570-9962. Give me your zip and we will do a deep dive. That will be, what do you think, Randy?
I just think you look great. You're just talking some real good stuff this morning.
Oh, well, you know why? You want me to give you the results of my PET scan yesterday?
I want to hear it all because I see you glowing this morning.
I went for a PET scan yesterday. If you don't know what a PET scan is, that is all about primarily a cancer test, because they thought I had cancer on top of the heart failure. You can probably tell I don't think I got the heart failure either. Thank you, Jesus. There's been a lot of people praying over me, I can tell you.
Yeah, we have been.
So the cancer I had, and I've had 2 cancer diagnoses, and one back 10 years ago where I had major surgery and I didn't have cancer. So here I am again, and I don't have cancer.
I love it.
I've waited all week to find that out. So I'm a little high energy this morning, especially as I'm looking at all these prices, right? So let's go.
I'm with you. And that is such great news. It's such great news.
I about felt so. The shout out to the pulmonary doc. His name is Patton. How funny is that? My name is Patton. Patton. My last name is Patton. And when he told me yesterday, I about fell off the chair. I mean, it was such a relief. I had no idea how stressed I was. And for anybody who's been through this, you know how stressful it is, both ways, whether it's a yay or a nay, and still some health issues there apparently, but I don't believe it. And I got my hands in the air and I think God was like, you got to pause for a minute. Yeah. And look what he's done now. I'm like the last time I felt this well was when I was 17 and a sprinter, which I used to be very good at.
Already.
Okay, let's get back to the figures because that's the important bit today.
Yeah.
Randy's got a twinkle in his eye because he's so good that he's got me to come and yabber on Saturdays again. Let's do a deep dive on North Carolina. So this is what I mean about you can't just look at a state. You all know that, right? And you can't even just look at a town. So North Carolina overall is a home price forecast of 51. What does that mean? We're looking at recent appreciation. We're looking at days on market, mortgage rates, the inventory, how many homes are out there, what price cuts have happened recently. But tell me, honestly, guys, what does it mean when you're looking at North Carolina and it's got 51 on there? Well, 50 is balanced, right? So we're in a balanced market. What have I been telling you now for the last year? We crested over a year ago in this market in Western North Carolina. We crested. That means we're bumping along the top, right? So now, when you go city by city, it might be a different case. Let me give you some other areas because we have listeners. This is syndicated. You can listen anywhere in the country or anywhere else for that matter. Let's look at some places where the home price forecast is going up. These might surprise you. So Illinois is at a score of 60. Now, again, we're looking at an entire state. If I delve in, I'll be able to find some in North Carolina that are expected to go up too. The other hot states where they're expected to go up, a lot of them are in the Northeast. If you look at my heat map, just go to Rowena Patton on Facebook, you'll see that a lot of the red areas, you're looking for the red areas, by the way. The red areas are increasing. The hotter red they are, the more they're increasing. So you may want to go have a look at that, Rowena Patton on Facebook. Just because I haven't posted it in the other places yet. I was doing so much research this morning to get the figures as of today. You may want to go and have a look at that heat map so that we can delve in city by city for you. Because just because I'm saying Illinois is on 60, if I delve into Illinois, for example, it looks like that's the hottest one in the entire area. If I start delving in by zip code, you will find a very different figure. Right, so definitely a seller's market. We're at a 60 up there. That's the home price forecast. If I look at home values, probably the same thing because it's a seller's market, right? This is not what we're seeing in our local market, by the way. So let's do a little dig in there. Which zip code do you think first, Randy? Where shall I go?
In North Carolina?
Yeah, we're going for us right now.
28792.
Got it. So the first thing I want to do, actually, is give you the state, just to prove to you that state figures don't mean a whole lot, right? When we look at home value, I want to compare it to our figures here. Patrick did a great job last week looking at local figures.
Yes.
So if I look at North Carolina, for example, we're at $332 for the average home value. Do you know any homes you can buy here in Western North Carolina for that? If you've got a home that's around that value, it will fly off the shelf.
Yeah.
We are definitely in that seller's market for that home value. So, you know, our figures show, and it's correct that for North Carolina, the average home value is $332. That's why the state figures don't mean anything, guys. Real estate is local. It's literally street to street, neighborhood to neighborhood, zip to zip. Right? So it doesn't mean anything. Why am I giving them to you? To prove that fact, because you have, you know, very famous people going on radio shows and TV shows right now. I won't call them out by name, going things like, home prices are going to skyrocket. Oh, really? I just want to call some, can I say BS or not?
You can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to call some BS on that because real estate doesn't skyrocket or collapse based on the USA. That is absolute nonsense. Can you put an average figure on it? Sure. Last time it crashed, we went down across the country about 33%. Does that mean we went down 33% here in Western North Carolina? Actually, we did. But in many places in the country, no, because it's all about the bubble. How much do you increase? How much inventory is there? And that changes street to street, neighborhood to neighborhood, community to community, zip to zip. Give us a call, 828-240-9962 or 800-570-9962 if you want to do a deep dive into your zip. Let's have a look at overvalued. Oh my gosh. Again, we're doing North Carolina here. I know I just said that doesn't mean a whole lot. However, at the 333 figure, that's if you take all the values in North Carolina, put them in a pot, you know, shake them up, and then go, what's the average? What's the median?
Okay.
So overvalued, we are showing in that mishy-moshy part of all of North Carolina, we're showing 23.9%, nearly 24% overvalued. And that's at the 339 price, right? That's important because the more you go up, the more you bubble, the more our overvalued data shows, the more you're going to come down generally, historically, based on historic figures. Why? Because it's gone in a bubble. It's gotten way too expensive compared to wages, compared to history, compared to how many people are moving here, right? So it's not rocket science. Let's look at for sale inventory. So here's another interesting one. So again, this is North Carolina. If we look at it just in our Western North Carolina market, this is not the case. We have just blibbed across the baseline mark of what should be available, whereas actually in North Carolina, we're about at the mark. In other words, for sale inventory, are we a buyer's or seller's market? We're flat. That is showing the same thing, except the inventory is skyrocketing. So, for example, North Carolina, 2 years ago in 2022, and don't worry, I'm going to do a deep dive here, and you can do this if you're listening anywhere in the country. I can do, you know, San Jose in California and then divide it down to zip. So call in with your zip code and we'll do it for you. I've made a whole bunch of videos on this that I can share with you as well. So here we are for sale inventory, North Carolina. This is how many homes are for sale in April 2022. That is 9,567. Everybody got that figure? So can we round up the figures just to make the math easy?
10,000.
So let's make that 10,000, right? Let's go back 2 years. Any idea, Randy? Would you say it's double? You know, we're 2020, we're talking about the pandemic.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people were moving here, so was there a lot for sale, or did people stay put? What would you think? Would that number go up or down? So 2022, we're at 10,000.
That number would go down.
Okay. 2020, the for sale inventory, how many homes for sale in North Carolina? 34,000. Over 3 times as many.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow is right? So 2022, 2 years later, this is how much figures change. Now, what does that mean? Real estate prices is all about supply and demand. It's all about, the more supply there is, then, you know, are you meeting the demand? The reason prices are staying high right now in the main is because the demand's kind of because of the interest rates, and here we are coming up to an election, which also, you know, can make it a little bit slow. Now the demand's a little bit higher because we're in that busy selling season in most places in the country. However, the supply up until the last month in most places has been relatively low.
Right.
You gotta look at what's happening month to month. It's really, really important. Look at these figures and look at the trend. Remember, Clement Juglar, 1860, set the economic cycle 7 to 11 years. What does that mean? Think of a roller coaster. We are at the top of the roller coaster right now, bumping along the top. It's like a roller coaster. As you start going down, it goes gadink, 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 and then it picks up speed. So if you're a seller and you have really flattened out right now, and again, I can go into that zip code and really look at that for you and look at what that means. Are you there? Are you not there? And as same thing. So if you are seeing this rise in inventory right now, and price cuts, I can give you all of those figures. You want to sell it now, or hold on for 10 years. Clement Juglar, 7 to 11 years, right? So you want to hold it. If you can hold it, that's fantastic. If you are buying right now, I'm not going to tell you not to buy. That's not what this is about. I want to give you figures upon which to make a more informed decision. For example, we've got people coming to Western North Carolina, and in some of the zip codes, you'll find a forecast that's still going up. In other words, the forecasts for home prices are going up. If I were buying here, I'd probably be more likely to look at those numbers than the ones where the forecast has a big old arrow down. Now, why? Because what happens if I'm not sure if I like the area and I want to sell in a couple of years? Now, if you're coming in from New York and you're buying, you're like, I just want to be there. I'm going to, I'm retiring there. So I'm going to, put my roots down. I'm going to stay there. This is fantastic. And I ain't selling. They're taking me out in a box. If you're one of those people, what does it matter? Because what goes down must come up, right? So here's the thing. 7 to 11 years is the cycle. That means 3.5 to 5.5 years from now, roughly. Again, no crystal balls here. I'm working on it. We're going down in most places, not everywhere. And then 3.5 to 5.5 years, we're going back up again. Overall, your home will go up. It might go up 10, 20, 30%. It might go up 100%. That's really what's happened in this last cycle. But it will go up. The trend is always up. It always has been. It's never gone down over that 11-year cycle. So if you're buying and staying, who cares? It's going to go up from where you're at now, even if it's at the top. Most likely. There's no guarantees in life, except
anywhere.
for death and taxes, right?
That's it.
And in the real estate cycle, that's why it's a more solid investment, and it's the biggest investment most people make, than other investments. Why? Because of the 7 to 11-year cycle. So you've got to remember that. And that's why I can give you the cycles on the way up. I couldn't do this back in 2007 because I didn't have this data. I was pulling data off the MLS every month. It was hard to see the trends, and I definitely couldn't see them all over the country for zip code by zip code. Here we are in 2024. That's a little while later, obviously. I can do it for anywhere in the country very fast. So you can call in and get that live if you'd like to, 800-570-9962, or I can do a report for you and send it out to you. If you're listening to the podcast after the show, just give us a call, 828-333-4483, 828-333-4483. We have people on standby 24/7 to take your call. If you're too shy to call in on the radio, you can also call that number now. We've got people standing by 24/7. They'll take a message and pass it on to us. 828-333-4483. I hope that's the number I gave before.
It is.
I was rapid-firing numbers there. Dealing with a lot of numbers today. So, give us a call, 828-333-4483. People standing by, they'll take your call, take your message. Just say you want the report. Give us your address, and we'll do a report on your zip code, on your city, and on your state for you. It'll be about 5 minutes long on the video. You'll have a video. You'll be able to see all the pictures. Heck, I'll do it on Zoom with you if you'd like to. So if you're listening on the podcast, all of these are podcast afterwards. We've been running this show for about 12 years, and you can hear all kinds of topics on there. You can go and get that one at realestatenewsradio.com, realestatenewsradio.com. You'll see link to listen live, the podcast, and everything else on there. Okay, Western North Carolina. So for sale inventory, back in 2020, we were at 34,000 homes for sale, all of North Carolina. Gosh, in 1 year, and this was during COVID, we went from 34,000 to 12,000. It's nearly a third. It's amazing. And then it dropped even more in 2022 to 9,500. Wow. 9,500. Do you know what we're at now? Have a guess. 9,500 we were at 2 years ago.
40,000.
We're at 25,000,
Okay.
which is the biggest amount we've had since 2020.
Since COVID.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
That is.
Gosh. Although 2017, at the bottom of the market, when prices had gone down pretty much across North Carolina, over 30% of a devaluation, we had 50,000 on the market. So that dropped to 34 in 2020. It dropped to, it's amazing, right? A third of the homes for sale. Imagine being a buyer out there and you've got a third of the homes for sale on the market. That's why it's been such a struggle. This is only 2022. It's only in the last 2 years. For the last 2 years, buyers, you had a third of the homes on the market. No wonder 2 years ago we were seeing multiple offers. A third of the homes on the market. That is absolutely crazy, right? So the norm, by the way, is 30,000. That's kind of the average, if you like, across many, many years is 30,000. So obviously, if you're at 9,500, you're struggling to find a house. Supply and demand. Supply and demand, that's all it's about. If the demand's always there. Some people have to buy a house. They're moving in. They want to buy a house because they're getting a divorce somewhere else, or maybe they've lost a parent, or somebody, some people need to buy a house. It might be a smaller amount or a bigger amount, but there's always a core amount of people that need to buy a house. Like there's a core amount of people that need to sell a house. Does that make sense? So we rise up 2 years and we're at 25,000 in April right now. May, I think we'll see that number go up even more. So we're at balance. Imagine as a buyer, right? You put off buying a couple of years. I just can't find anything. Prices are going up. It's really hard. It's I don't know what to do. Now you've got 3 times as many to look at. What do you think that's going to do when you're making an offer? That gives supply and demand. It gives you a downward price on the prices, right? So, oh my gosh. That makes sense. So let's go ahead. I can send you that report, by the way. Again, just reach out, 828-333-4483. That will get you through to our receptionists that are standing by. You can leave a message there. You can give us your address. I'll do a full report for you. Very, very happy to do that. If you're a realtor listening, I will do the same thing. No worries at all. If you want to call into the show and have a live evaluation of your zip code, whether that is prices going up or going down, or your state, or whatever you want to do, that would be perfectly fine. Either way, I think we have, oh my gosh, a favorite of this station and a favorite of mine. Mike Blanton is on the phone, our amazing financial advisor. How you doing, Mike?
I'm retired, girl. How are you?
You like don't have anybody call me whatever you do because I've retired. Who should they call now, Mike, if they need your advice?
Fine. Yeah, I got something in my email, and it said call you, so I was going to call you. That's pretty funny.
That is
fantastic.
Yeah, I sent an email on purpose to all the people on the database saying, call in if you'd like me to do a deep dive on because it's really fascinating looking at, areas around. These are all states in the USA right now. It's being broadened so that we can get everybody. But we can see state by state where it's going up, state by state where it's going down, and then do a deep dive all the way down to zip code, which is pretty amazing.
I saw that. That's pretty cool. That's very helpful information, actually.
Yeah, and in North Carolina, of course, I can go county by county, zip code by zip code, town by town. But here's the thing, as you know, Mike, valuations aren't about, for example, Asheville. It's all the little neighborhoods within Asheville. There are neighborhoods within Asheville that are on average worth half, so let's say our average price point in 28801 in Asheville is $600,000. In 28801, wow. I can find an average. Oh yeah, I know, it's crazy. I can find an average of 300 in a different neighborhood. So it's literally so when you give these figures that we had somebody very famous, I won't call her out, on Fox News this week, who said home, and you can look it up on YouTube, home prices are going to skyrocket around the USA. I don't like people saying things like that because, first of all, you can never guarantee anything, both in the investment world that Mike is obviously very well grounded in. He was able to retire in a very nice way, so he must have done well for all of his clients because that's how he did well. And you can't say prices are going to skyrocket and go up or the market's going to crash across the USA because that simply ain't the truth. It's just, I feel very disingenuous because if you're buying a house, you should do it based on facts. If you're selling a house, you should do it based on facts. And it's called the economic cycle. And in some places it hurts more and in some places it helps more. So all you need are the facts on which to base a decision. How's that work with investing, Mike? Same thing, right?
Yeah, you have to know what you're doing. And, my philosophy when it came to real estate was you make money when you buy it, not when you sell it.
Yes. You're exactly right.
That's a hard concept for people to get because buying real estate can be a very emotional decision.
Yeah, and selling it
but
too.
You've got to go shopping when you have control. Mm-hmm. And I know I've been in the Asheville area since '69, I remember when we could buy real estate on what's that road that goes by the Grove Park Inn down there?
Yes. So we're talking. So for those of you who are listening around the country, he's talking about his historic area of Asheville, where we can't say old money these days, so we won't say that. But it's where the country club is. It's where the Grove Park Inn is, which is just a beautiful hotel.
Kimberly,
Kimberly, top 3 spas in the country. Just a beautiful area.
I remember, when you'd driving down that road and looking at some of the houses on there, and they were going for $300,000. I'm going, man, how in the world could anyone afford that? But I came up with a comment about Asheville. Getting in is tough. The water's getting in is the hard part. Hanging around is where you're going to make some money. So typically, I've been through ups and downs in Asheville and all around, and that's been a pretty much winning formula. But got to be patient and find a good real estate agent like Miss Rowena Patton.
Oh, well, thank you, Mike. I'd like to say find a great investment advisor if you hadn't only retired at 36.
I'm done, baby. I'm done. I want to know what the property is going to happen in Grand Bahama. Can you tell me what that's going to do?
I wish I could, and that's coming very soon. And actually, I have some very good friends who can tell you, that's for sure. You want to hear these Asheville ones, those Mike, because these are going to blow your mind because you haven't been over there for too long. So if we look right now in 28801, The average home value is 500. I'm going to round these figures just to make it easier. $580,000.
My kids, they're kind of they're now getting in the 30s and late 30s, and they want to buy a house, and they're just screaming at the prices. I said, getting in is tough, but once you're in, the water's fine.
Yeah, well, that's true. But here's if you want to. So what happens when prices go up in an area? The area grows very rapidly, which is what everybody is peeing and moaning about. See, Randy, I was good, moaning about here. So what happens in any metro area? Do you know, Mike, when housing prices become very, very steep? What would you expect somebody who lives in downtown Asheville, for example? Maybe they're a first-time home buyers that bought their house 3 years ago, and the average home price in 28801. Oh, let's go to 28804, where you were just talking about $628,000. So they bought there 5 years ago or 7 years ago when it was much, much, much less expensive. I could tell you what if I dipped in here, but I'm not going to. And now they've got a house. The average home value there is $628,000. What would you do if you bought it 7 years ago and you could move out, for example, to, let's find one here. You could move out to 28753. So you've got Mars Hill. It's just to the left of Mars Hill, if that helps anybody. Yeah. College Town. We're only talking about 30 minutes, not even 20 minutes on the edge of there. Can you have a guess what the average home price is there? So we've gone from 580, 630. So we go 20 minutes north, actually. 28804 is north. So 15 to 20 minutes down the road. The home value is $349,000. So what do you think will happen?
$349, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think will happen? It's natural, right? 28743, if we go to the zip to the left of that, $320,000 is the average value. It's also, here's the problem, though. It's in the blue zone, which means it is more likely to decrease. But how much can you decrease in Western North Carolina when you're only at 320? It's going to be a small decrease, right? So
yeah, I mean, we went through a decrease at one point in time where I think it was, I can't remember now, it was 2008, something like that. Yep. It kind of got a little funky and it was kind of hard to sell.
33% we had a drop here.
Yeah, but you typically, that's why you make money when you buy, not
Correct.
when you sell. So if you run in there now going, I'm going to buy it, it's up there. The prices are up there, but you're looking for a deal. You're looking for somebody who can't really afford what they actually have now, or somebody who is anxious to move on. And the biggest problem, I think, here in Asheville area or Western Carolina is that people from New York, people from California, people from all over the place are finding out, dude, I live in an apartment I paid $1 million for. So they walk around there and go, oh, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. So, and that's really kind of what's driving the real estate up in Asheville, I think. But it was a beautiful place. It's a great place to live. But, go ahead.
So when you really do a deep dive on here, let's look at Mills River is always an interesting one. So
I own 2 houses.
Yeah, Mills River has become, you probably know this, has gone through the roof, right? So Mills River, when you're talking about 28759 Mills River, then we've got a recent appreciation score of 56. 50 is the median. In other words, we've got a home price forecast of 51. That's about balance. That's, again, we're bumping along the bottom, so we're flat, right? Why? Because, oh my gosh, we've seen such a bubble there in terms of, where the prices have gone, because they've gone through the roof. Days on market, we're looking at 2 months. So 2 years ago, you'd put a house on the market if it was in tip-top condition, and you'd have 6 offers in 3 days. That is not the case now. So if you're building a new home, or if you're going into assisted living, or if you're moving out of state somewhere because you want to be by the grandkids, or any of all those other reasons, if you're getting a divorce and you need to sell your house, be careful. It takes 2 months. That means when I come out to your house this week, we're at the end of May, we're going to, this is the busy selling season. Don't let it go, especially as we have an election this year. Don't let it go into the fall and then the winter, especially when we're flat at the top, which makes it very likely, given the economic cycle, flat at the top. We have been for a year and a half. It's going to start bumping down at some point. And I can tell you zip by zip where that's going to happen. So back looking at Mills River again, 2 months on the market, guys. 2 months. So that means if we put you on in June, July, August. Now, that's if you're a great-looking house. That means you're going to move out in September. And not even, because I got to get you on the market, right? So give me a few days for that, please. I mean, I'm full of energy, but just give me a few days. Get me out as quickly as you can. 828-333-4483. Rowena Patton, All-Star Hat, Powerhouse Broker by XP. Get me out to take a look. It doesn't matter if you have things to do on the house. If you have things to do on the house, it's likely to take you longer than 2 months. Remember that. These figures that we're quoting, 2 months to sell on average, and that's on average. These are figures, guys. I don't make these up, right? And these are figures as of 2-3 weeks ago. They're always lagging figures. That means if we're on a downtrend, it's probably gone. The figures for days on market has probably gone up, right? But just work on 2 months. If anything needs doing, it's going to take you longer to prep. And not only that, if you don't do it, and we just say, hey, we're going to give you a credit for $10,000. There's lots of ways we can work that. Don't worry about that. We can get your credit in place for that. Then it's going to be September before you move. I don't think people realize how long it takes. Now, that's for a great house.
Having a vision for what you want to accomplish long before you get there is important, especially with real estate.
Yes.
Because if I have a home and I have a price that I want for it, I don't want to be put in a position that I'm in a hurry to sell, that I have to sell. I approach real estate with the fact that, okay, I like this house, but I'm looking for a change. So, I don't care if I sell it now or I don't care, 6-8 months from now. You can always go down, but going up is really tough in that side of it. But with some vision and some planning, you can say, well, I know jobs can throw things into you that make you kind of jammed up and need to do something quickly.
Yep.
But just try and plan out and think ahead. I mean, call Rowena when you're desperate, but call them when you got some planning going on too.
Thank you. So, and you're speaking as for long term in this area, one of the top financial advisors in the area. You used to look after my investments for me, and there are investments that are liquid and not liquid. When you put real estate in your portfolio of looking at your investments, that is not a liquid investment, guys. So 2 months is really great, quite honestly. You want to really think about 3 or 4 months to sell your house if it's not a stellar house. In other words, it's not new. You haven't done a full remodel. The yard could take a little bit of work. Maybe you got a kitchen from the 90s. Maybe you've got different floors. Maybe the dog's done some scratches. Maybe there's some marks on the walls. By the way, I'm describing the average house, so don't be embarrassed about that. I visited somebody in the last few weeks who bought a house some years ago that dogs had peed all over the basement, and they had to take all of the carpet up and everything else. There's plenty of houses that look like that where you can actually make a little bit of money most often. You've got to look at these numbers. This is what Mike did for a living. So I can delve into 28801, for example. It has a home price forecast of 40. In other words, below the baseline. It's already crested, guys. Recent appreciation, but get this. So the forecast is down. Recent appreciation is up. Why? Because of the lack of inventory. However, the number for that is up. It's 59, right? So we're above that baseline. It's going through the roof in terms of numbers that are available on the market. And I can go, we don't have time today because we've only got the hour, but I can go in depth of what that means. Right? I can give you median age. I can give you poverty rate if you're an investor. I've got all kinds of demographics on there. It's really remarkable. I can give you price cuts. So let's go price cuts on there. So if we look at 28801, and it's such a tiny little market in 28801, we are at, I just clicked on the wrong button there. It's really great when I can click on the right one. Remarkably up, 25% increase over there, right? So you want to look at those figures. It's so important. Data. And I can make sense of all of that data for you. So price cuts, let's do price cuts and get you the actual figure. 28801. Price cuts, we are looking at 27% price cuts. Listings with price cut are 16 out of the 61. That is crazy. We haven't seen that in a very long time. 16 out of 61, so not quite a third. But so if everybody says, so I want you to listen when, now it depends, it's zip code to zip code and give you all of these. In fact, why don't we go over to the left, 28806, West Asheville. We have 24 listings out of 155. That doesn't sound many, right? 15% of listings in West Asheville, which is one of the hottest markets, if not the hottest market in Western North Carolina, 15% have price cuts. What does that tell you, Mike, in terms of supply and demand?
Well, it tells you that people are, they're getting anxious to get out.
Uh-huh. So that's great for buyers, right? But if you're a seller...
You're looking for that. You're looking for, like to have saved money, to have accumulated some wealth in your life is extremely important because it gives you the power in all these decisions.
Yeah.
Most people, they don't really have any backing at all.
Yeah.
And what they do is have an IRA or something where Uncle Sam's going to get his fingers in the whole thing. But having capital where you're not in a hurry, I don't care. Like this is probably not material, but it is in a way. We came to the Bahamas. We were looking for somewhere to offshore.
Yeah.
We came here, looked at a house. They were asking a crazy amount of money. We went to the house, looked at the house, whatever.
What year is this, Mike?
This is 3 years ago,
okay.
2022.
Yeah, okay.
23?
2 years ago, yeah.
Oh, wait, 21, sorry. Looked here, and I told my wife, I said, now, we're going to go buy a piece of property. Don't get your heart set on anything other than we're going to buy a nice piece of property with a nice house. That's what you got to understand. So anyway, we came over here. We talked to the real estate people. They don't have all the tools that you're talking about that you have here.
Mm-hmm.
So we spent 2 weeks just looking at property. We put an offer in on this house, and we were about a third less than they wanted. And argue with them, and then finally I said, "No, okay, fine, we're out of here."
Wow!
So we literally got on a plane and flew to Roatan, Honduras, looking for another place on the water. We found a place down there we really were interested in buying. But while we were down there, the people here called us and said, "We'll take your offer."
Okay, we're going to do a whole show on this, Mike, and I want to get you back on because there are a lot of people thinking about retiring in other places, and that's the next business of mine. So we're going to do a whole other show on that because this is exactly, and this is what's going to happen here. But I want you to stay with me. Can you stay with me for another couple of minutes?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
He ain't doing nothing.
He ain't doing nothing. You're exactly right. I'm going to do a rapid fire of price cuts. So price cuts are one of the key indicators that we look at. We're early in the season here, right? Like in many parts of the country, the spring season is where you see more listings start to come on the market. So because for some unknown reason, people wait. I've never been able to figure it out. By the way, folks, it doesn't make any sense, but we are where we're at, and we're in May now. We're actually obviously through the spring season, and it's summer already. Remember, I've been otherwise detained for a while, and no, not in prison. So I sort of lost a month, but we're in the summer season. So this is high season for selling. Do you think in a high season people would be cutting prices if we were getting multiple offers and things were flying off the shelf? We know the answer to that, no. It's all about supply and demand. And let's have a look here. So, what if the demand were high, in other words, because the inventory is low, if the demand is high, sellers would not be cutting their prices. So if you're selling in these areas or you are buying in these areas, I want you to listen as I very quickly go through these figures. You can always go back to realestatenewsradio.com, click on the podcast and pause the podcast. Because obviously you're listening live and you're going, what did she say for that zip code? Here we go. So we are looking at 28743. That is Hot Springs. We have hardly any with a price cut, but there's only 11 in the inventory. 11% when we look at Marshall. 11% price cuts. Mars Hill, 13%. If we're looking at 28709, that is to the right of Mars Hill, so the other part of Mars Hill, actually, 13.5%. So no figures that are going to blow your mind right now. Oh, wait. Let's go north of Woodfin, 28787. 28787. Very, very close to Asheville right now. 25.6%. A quarter of listings have had a price cut. Let's find some other ones where it's really going on down here. So Asheville 28748. We're looking at North Asheville here. 21.2%. 1 in 5 homes has had a price cut. I suggest, I mean, obviously I need to look at your house, but if you got your house listed and 1 in 5 have had a price cut, you might want to look at that for a second. Let's go over to Clyde and north of Clyde. 28.5%. As we go further out, you'll see more price cuts. Nearly 30%, guys, have had price cuts in one of the busiest selling months of the year. That's important. Let's go Asheville 28748. So North Asheville, very popular area, 21.2%. 1 in 5, guys, have had a price cut. That's important. 28806 West Asheville, that drops to 15.4%. In one of the hottest markets, if not the hottest sales market in Asheville, 15.4%. That's kind of important. 28801 downtown, 26.1 in 4 has had a price cut. Listen to these numbers. It might be, if you want to get out and if you want to hold on to your house for 7 to 10 years and you don't really care about selling, go for it. It doesn't matter. Get aggressive now. I want you to remember that I said this in May of 2024. Get aggressive with your pricing now. Get aggressive with your marketing now. If you haven't listed yet, call me. Let me come in and I'll show you what to do, what not to do. Of course, we have the full market value cash offer as well. If you've just expired because it didn't sell, there's a lot of those going on as well. We will give you a full market value cash offer, most likely at your expired price. If you're a for sale by owner, same thing. 2/3 of our sellers get more with no showings or anything else. I want you to listen, Black Mountain. Wait, is this is Swannanoa? Swannanoa, calling Swannanoa. 38%.
Whoa.
38% price cuts. Guys, that's a problem. So if you're in the Swannanoa Otine area, in other words, east of Asheville, for those of you listening, don't know what the heck I'm talking about. Asheville, those of you really don't know what I'm talking about, Asheville is in the mountains, western North Carolina, because you're listing all over the place. I can do a deep dive into your zip code anywhere in the country and tell you the same thing. 38% have got price cuts. People are really listening. They know things have been on the market for a while. Of course, I'm going to all the different figures on here, not just price cuts, but that's an important one. A price cut, guys, is a leading indicator of prices going down. Why? Because you see price cuts before the prices go down. Let's do a few more for you. Black Mountain used to be the highest dollar per square foot in Buncombe County, 23%. That is a high figure, guys. There's nearly 1 in 4 are cutting their prices. 32%, 28730. 28730. Are you listening? 28730. That's to the right of Biltmore Forest. It's Flat Top, Fairview, 28730. 32%, Biltmore Forest. Biltmore Forest. We can't say old money these days, so we ain't going to say that. 28803, Biltmore Forest, stretches all the way down. 19.3% have price cuts. Hello. 28806, West Asheville, 15.4. I think we did that one already. 28715. We're looking in Candler now. 28%. It's over 1 in 4 have got price cuts. That is insane. So I want to look at the 38 point, where are we looking at there? 28788. We're looking at, everything east of Asheville. So let's do days on market. Let's see if we can find some correlation. Shocker, we've gone from 31 last year to 47. The days on market are going up. That means we're switching, guys. Days on market growth, inventory as percentage of houses. I can do all kinds of things on here that, sadly, as usual, is 10:54, nearly 10:55, and we've got 3 minutes left. What sense do you make out of those price drops, Mike?
If you want to buy something in Asheville and you live in New York and you're sick and tired of that, or you live in California and you're sick and tired of that, now's a good time.
Yeah. It really is. So, I'd also encourage people. So people come here about 60, 70, 80%, depending on the month, of people looking on our database. I looked this morning, 72,000 people have signed up on our database. If you're selling a house, you probably want to access our database of 72,000 buyers. Now, are all these looking right now? I wish, because we'd wipe out all the inventory in the Western North Carolina area. Of course not. But these are people that over time have been looking at buying a house in the area, including many of the current buyers that we have. So I'd encourage you, if you're coming from New York, not to look at just Asheville, not to look at just downtown Asheville, because that's all you know. You've heard about Asheville. Asheville gets all of the, all of the headlines, popularity. Yeah. We know all about Asheville. Explore all the sounding.
You've got Brevard. You've got all kinds of neat places around here. And I actually live in Hendersonville and have for, probably 15, 20 years now.
Yeah, well, your heat map, I've got to tell you, on Hendersonville ain't looking so great either. So, but what I can tell you is the areas around Hendersonville. So you can be 10, 15 minutes away from downtown Hendersonville. Get creative if you're not one of the people that has millions of dollars and, more money than you need worry about. Because if you have that, live where you want. And if you're holding it for 10 years, who cares? It's going to go up anyway. However, right. If you're struggling, if you're working your purse strings and you're on a tight budget, go 10 minutes out and we'll tell you where all those towns and cities are. Any great agent will be able to tell you that. We can do it all over the country and give you that score. Is the score going to be absolutely accurate every single time? No, because we're not. We are magic makers, but we don't have a crystal ball that's going to be, 99% accurate. But these are going to be a very, very good forecast score. Just go 10 minutes out, go 15 minutes out. And most often, not always, but again, I can show you the actual map for that. Just like Mike did when he was looking after your investments he started when he was 22 and he finished and retired 4 years later because he did so well and helped people. He did all the 4 years of it.
Lost 0 on that one.
Yeah, really. But if you want, Mike's saying Hendersonville, which is, how should we say, a bit more laid back of an area. A lot of people have moved to Hendersonville. Super, super popular now. Mills River's going through the roof. They're building thousands of units in Mills River. You wouldn't even recognize it, Mike. If you move 10 minutes out from Mills River now or 10 minutes out from Hendersonville, there's a lot of areas like Mills River that haven't popped yet. That's where you want to buy.
I saw something from 26 there that was blew my mind. There's a lot of apartment buildings and all kinds of stuff going on over there.
Is it thousands of units? So houses for sale, houses for apartments and units for rent.
Taproot.
Taproot,
it's called Taproot.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of them. There's 4 developments within a 5-minute drive down 26. There's also, if you drive down 26, our famous interstate here, if you look off I-26, you'll see all these developments right on the highway.
Yeah. It's causing school administrators to reschedule kids in different schools. Yeah.
We're a whole area that's really blowing up. However, there are areas that are still in the blue zone. The blue zone is, what are our scores in terms of, the home price forecast? What about affordability? That's kind of important, right? So if you're in a more affordable area, you can be literally 15 minutes drive to downtown anywhere and be in a more affordable area. That's the important thing. And your price is less likely to go down if you're buying. It's less likely to go down if you're selling as well. So you can hold on to it a little bit longer. If you're in the hot zones, get out now or hold it for 10 years. Or really think twice about buying there. I'll end on that. Thank you so much to Mike for being with us today. Off the Hoop. We'll see you on the radio next week.
The Plain English Real Estate Show with Rowena Patton. Visit Rowena and post your questions at radioasheville.com or call her at 828-210-1648.